Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
So welcome back, you guys. This is your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey, Kat.
Hey, Moni.
What's up?
Working on the weekend like usual.
I know, right? It don't stop.
What's up with you?
Can't stop, won't stop. Same thing. Happy Black History Month, everybody. If you're listening to this when this episode drops, also happy Valentine's Day. If you celebrate that kind of thing, love is in the air. And yeah, we're here for another fun episode. So unlike last week, I am actually excited to talk about this book. I'm always excited to be here, for the record.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
But this book in particular, Erasure by Percival Everett, is something that I've been wanting to talk about. So I'm super excited to do that.
So this is some racism you can get down with.
I can get down with this kind. Yeah.
And also today being Valentine, this episode will air on Valentine's Day. It's also Ash Wednesday. So remember that you are but dust, and to dust you shall return. One of my favorite things, a typo I ever saw was like in a church like bill for Ash Wednesday, and they accidentally spelled butt with two T's. And it said, remember that you are but dust, and to dust you shall return. You gotta.
Why are we this childish? That's
you
hilarious.
You have to spell check
Proofread,
people's
guys.
to proofread. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
guys.
You have to proofread stuff.
Oh, man. And it's better to have somebody do it after you've, because sometimes
Here's a good tip. Read it out loud. You'll catch more errors because your brain will automatically fix stuff when you're just reading it in your head. But if you read it out loud to yourself, you'll catch more stuff.
Oh my gosh. But that butt is tricky, man. That's
English is weird. See how it just changes the whole meaning?
Oh, I love it.
It went from a solemn, dignified reminder of your mortality to like
solemn,
everybody
dignified?
Poops.
That was that was so good. I like it. Okay, well,
but that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I mean, that was a fun left turn, though. I enjoyed it. So you guys, this book, I want to give you a little bit about the book. So, Erasure by Percival Everett follows Thelonious monk Ellison, a Black author frustrated with the commercial success of stereotypical hood-spoliation fiction or ghetto fiction. In response, he writes a parody of this genre called My Pafology under the pseudonym Stag R. Leigh. Unexpectedly, My Pafology becomes a sensation, leading Monk to confront questions of authenticity, exploitation, and the commodification of Black culture. I'm just saying. I was like, yes, this is going to be so good.
Relatable content. Yeah, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, man. So we're going to...
There's a lot to get into.
It is.
I didn't even finish it, and I have a lot to say.
Man. All right, well, let's get into it. Before we do, we're going to dedicate this episode, you guys. So hands over your hearts. I want to thank our patrons for their continued support. You guys are the best. So big hearts to you. Also, I wanted to dedicate this episode to Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month and African American Studies, and really putting that on the map for us. I can't wait until we get to the point where it's just history. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to that man, because he paved the way, and you know, we're moving forward. And I think that's it for me. What about you, friend?
Yes, and it started out as Negro History Week, and now it's Black History Month.
Look at us go.
Look at us go.
Wow.
Yeah, we're out here. My dedication this week is going out to the meat cake, which is February 25th at Half Liter. It's not, though. It's just literally cakes made of meats. And it's incredibly creative. I'll be there doing a live paint, but I strongly encourage you to get your tickets because it is going to sell out. This is a harder brunch production, and they bring out the people. So, and also shout out to the Bridge Collective. They did the Amorous Art Show this past weekend that I got a chance to be a part of, and it was a really great experience.
Yay.
So, and also happy Valentine, just love. We love you here at the Fake Ass Book Club. So this episode is also dedicated to everyone who is listening. Thank you.
Dedication over. That was great.
Thank you.
What a lovely dedication. What a way to start off this episode. Lots of positivity, lots of love. So speaking of love, I loved this book. I can't even say enough good things about it.
Did you listen to it?
I did. I listened to this book.
Okay.
And it was a while ago actually now.
Oh, okay.
And so I was trying to remember it, but I also saw the film. So I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of American Fiction. It is up for 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and some other.
Is one of those Jeffrey Wright?
Yes, Jeffrey
Has he
Wright.
won one before?
I don't believe he has.
That seems wrong.
He's iconic.
He's kind of like, I'm trying to think of someone who's better at acting than him.
We'll come back to that.
I'm stumped.
We'll come back.
So he's overdue.
He's definitely overdue. But yeah, so this book was written by Percival Everett, and I think maybe you had a little something about him.
I got a little something on Mr. Percival.
Yeah.
Percival Everett is an American writer and distinguished professor of English at the University of Southern California. He is best known for his novels Erasure, I Am Not Sidney Poitier, and The Trees, which was shortlisted for the 2022 Booker Prize. He's also 67 years old and Black.
I like that little fun fact. So this book to me, it's they're calling it a satire, like it's a satirical novel, and it critiques sort of the publishing industry, and it talks about themes of, race, identity, artistic integrity. I feel like these are all things that we've talked about on the show before.
Quite a bit.
And so it was just really fun to explore all these narratives, because even though this book, the characters happen to be Black in this book, I feel like it's a side note in terms of just the personal things that are happening to these characters. They're just human characters. And I think that was my favorite part about this book, because I think one critique of Black art, or, like when we're taking in art, is that it's like we don't get to just be people sometimes.
Yeah.
So I like this book because I felt like they just got to be people. So
I remember in my notes I put, was that Black enough for you?
Yeah.
It's like, because that was actually a
Seriously.
really good
Seriously.
documentary on Black Hollywood on Netflix.
Really?
Because the author, well, I don't know the author, but the main character, you can tell he feels a lot of resentment for either being perceived as too Black or not Black enough.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, I'm just some guy.
People
like,
hate that. It's the worst. It's like, I don't love that either if I'm in those
I don't like it
situations.
either.
You know what I mean? If
No.
I use my vowels, now I'm not Black.
Nope.
Or if, you're at work and you aren't, I don't know, up on whatever the hell they be talking about. It's like, see, I said be talking about.
right.
Now I'm too Black.
Yeah,
you know?
you're using
I
the
don't know.
infinitive, and it's like, what?
No one likes
What?
that.
It's
They
like,
don't like it.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Well, because what was the novel in this book that he hated so much?
My Pafology. Oh, no.
No, Weeze from the Ghetto.
Oh, my God. How
Was-
could I forget?
I think it's Weeze from the Ghetto.
Weeze B.
We be
or
from
some-
the Ghetto.
We
Weeze.
Be- hold up.
Okay, you look that up. But it's a okay, because I understood his frustration with that, because whenever he would switch to that writing style, because this is a book about a writer writing a book, which is a little meta. So within the structure of the book, he switches to, we sort of see the writing of the protagonist in this book, because he himself is writing a book. So he'll switch to one of the books he's writing, and he does one in sort of a parody style of these books that he hates, where you have sort of this ebonics throughout. And there's this like super popular novel in the universe of the book.
Lives in the ghetto.
Oh, there it is.
The ghetto. Excuse me.
We live.
Weeze. W-E''S.
You say.
And I said apostrophe.
Just say it again.
We lives in the ghetto.
We lives in the ghetto. Okay, and it was trauma porn. Like I think a lot of times, and there's this idea of sort of this genre in a lot of Black movies where we're like, yeah, I just don't want to see like a bunch of trauma for 2 hours necessarily just to see Black faces produced well in Hollywood, because it feels like there's always sort of this pound of flesh, if you want to get your stuff produced.
And think about this. It's Black History Month right now. So like when you go on your Netflix queue, there's going to be this whole thing that's like Black History Month. When you scroll, holler at me on what it is that you see, because you're going to see
well, let's
a lot
look it up
of
right
those.
now.
Yeah,
I got Netflix right here, baby.
Because this was a conversation.
If they'll let me look at it right here, Netflix has been. I've voiced my frustrations with Netflix, so I don't have to. Oh, look at that. No, say it again. Okay. Let me put in Black History Collection. I know it didn't come up right away. They probably already know what I'm on.
And you know, it's a lot of the time, again, this conversation I had outside of the context of this book with my husband, but he was just scrolling through the Black movies or whatever. And he was like, man, I don't want to see none of this shit, man.
Okay, so let's just see what comes up. So, there's Jeremy Wright.
Man, he was
Jeffrey.
good.
Did I say Jeremy?
You said Jeremy.
Sorry, Jeffrey. It's late, y'all. Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright.
Really great. Well, First Wives Club, that wasn't trauma porn. Harriet, though.
She's in the first column there. We gotta have
All
that.
American. He's probably getting shot.
When they see us,
When
definitely
they
getting
see
shot.
us,
You're getting shot when they
yeah.
see you.
Oh,
for
this
sure.
was a good one, though. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, about that young man.
American Symphony too was good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this isn't that bad. But
This isn't.
point being, usually what you see or what's synonymous are those kind of struggle stories or the
Man,
hood
why did
stories.
Harry and Meghan come up?
Who?
Harry and
Nice
Meghan.
try. Don't be trying to slide her
be.
in there.
For the longest,
real
I swear,
cute.
when I was watching her show, I
Thought
did
she
not
was white.
know that. Yeah, I did not know she was a woman of color.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah. I mean, exactly. You could blink or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm saying all this to say that I do feel like there is this expectation for Black stories to be a certain way, and very rarely do you get a like full character who's just regular. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just a regular dude. Now I don't think he was regular in terms of, because he was a professor, a tenured professor, I believe, at a university. So he was teaching, like we meet him teaching, and he's clearly in a space where, because I want to say he was teaching a class and had the N-word on the chalkboard, and there was a white person in the class who was very offended by the fact that he had this up, and he's trying to explain to her like this is in the context of this book,
Right.
And she's like, well, I'm offended, and he's like,
Okay, be offended.
you know what I mean? But like his response, so he ends up getting pulled to, by the administrators, and they're like talking to him and stuff. Like, this isn't the first complaint from your students. Like, maybe you need to step back and take a break. And so he ends up going to go visit his family, and this is kind of like going into his family dynamics, which I felt like was really relatable and stuff. And so I'm gonna stop here because I feel like there should be a beat by beat of the story. I don't know if you feel like you can.
Sure.
Since you don't know the end of it. Or you can just get to where
So
you know.
his name is like Thelonious Monk, right?
So you're not that regular, because if your mom names you that.
Well, no, Monk was a nickname though, right?
But
Yeah.
Thelonious.
So,
is-
we're already getting like, and this was sort of
They're
literary
fancy blacks.
jazz a little bit. So Thelonious, he just feels like an outsider everywhere. Because one, he's already a Black man in America. That's already hard. But then he doesn't even really fit into his own family. Like everybody's doctors. But somehow he's still his dad's favorite. And so that breeds sort of resentment with his older sister. Was the brother younger or older?
He was younger.
He was younger. Okay, so his younger brother Bill and his older brother was Lisa older?
I think that he was the oldest.
Oh, he was the oldest.
I'm
Never
pretty
mind.
sure.
So his brother and sister Lisa and Bill, they're both doctors. Bill is a plastic surgeon, a closeted homosexual. Who's married with kids, who's working out in Arizona as a plastic surgeon, and his sister is basically working at a Planned Parenthood in an underprivileged neighborhood outside of DC. And she's shot and killed by a pro-life fanatic. And he is suddenly in charge of taking care of their aging mother. Their father died years ago. She's deteriorating from dementia. And in the same time, he's having money problems. And all of a sudden, he's trying to sell a book. But his literary style isn't very popular. When he reads that paper at the conference,
God.
even I was
I
like,
couldn't
this
even-
was
it was-
brutal.
It was dense.
Even though you can tell
it was
it's good,
obtuse.
you can tell he
Yeah.
can write, but it's just like, this is a little much.
Yeah.
So everyone's pretty much telling him that, like, and and there's this super popular novel going around. Wheeze lives in the ghetto.
Yep.
And he's like, let me do my version of that. So he writes, what was the book?
I mean,
called?
as a farce, though.
Yeah,
you know
as a
what
farce.
I mean? My Pafology.
My pathology.
Pafology.
My
with an F.
Pafology.
You can't even say it.
I know. My brain
It's
doesn't
hard.
want to. But he ends up changing it to fuck.
He
So
does.
let's just start. I mean, we're going to call it, I don't want to bombard this episode with the F word. So we're just going to call it F.
Okay.
Or duck, as autocorrect would call it.
Okay.
So he writes like a little short parody of his own called Duck with Van Gogh or it was Von Gogh or something. The main character was like his nickname. One of the girls called him Van.
Okay.
Anyway, he's sort of this ruffian, and he's
got 4 kids with 4 different women. Like, it's the most stereotypical.
It's crazy, and he's writing in that style of me. I'll give, like that same sort
I
of
love my
patois.
mama. I hate my mama.
I love my mama. I was like, you're really padding out the word count. Because he was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah,
I was just
man.
I could not wait for that part of the book to be over.
It
quite
was
honestly,
hard.
and I think it was intentional.
Yeah.
Like you can tell everything he does is very intentional. And so, anyway, so that book, his agent's able to sell. So he gets like all this money is coming in now that he's doing this, and he has to take on this fake persona because he writes it under a pen name, and he's struggling with sort of like he even breaks up with a girl because she's reading it. Like he
let
really
me ask you, what did you
hates
think of
it.
that?
But he ends up getting his mom into a facility. She's just declining more and more. His brother ends up getting outed and divorced and is having trouble seeing his kids. And it's really sad because you can tell he's doing his best, but he's apparently just like really struggling, and they're not having a good relationship. And that's kind of where I left off. Like I didn't get to finish it, so I don't even know how the book ends.
Well, so he ends up sitting on this book review board.
I did see that part. And his book, he gets picked to be a panel of judges for a book award, and then his book ends up on the thing, and he's trying to pretend like he's never read it, and he's trying to brush it off, and they're like, no, it's so important. And then that's where I left off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Take it, Moni.
So this is the very end. He ends up, the book ends up winning the award.
Of course.
Okay. And they have this.
Did it come with money?
Don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like the book award. And I think this is like an actual
I
award
feel
in
like
real
a lot
life
of times
too.
these usually come with money.
Yeah,
that's why
that's
why people want them.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And then they have it where, everybody's looking around because again, like he's not a real person. Like
he's pretending to be reclusive.
And he's a convict.
Yes.
Stag R Leigh is the pseudonym that he came up with, and he's supposed to be a hardened criminal who was recently released, and he's just
because it's
he's
so
super
authentic.
hood. And you're like, oh my gosh,
authentic.
Yeah.
Oh, only someone who wrote this had to have been from there.
God.
It's like,
yeah,
man,
and it's like, bitch,
I had a summer home growing up.
Okay, what are you talking? Right, exactly. And so so they're announcing it, and everybody's looking around and stuff, and he ends up walking up to the podium, and then it just ends like that.
Oh.
So we don't know. So they leave it up to you. You don't really know what's going to happen at the end of it.
That is very interesting.
It's
It was
fascinating.
very smart.
It was good. It was super smart.
The structure of the book, because I actually would like to go back and actually read it. I was listening to it, and it was, to me, it was really, really ingenious. And the fact that, of course, he's talking about other books and how they're structured. It's like, we get it. Your pants, they are smarty.
Yeah, they're very smarty.
Yeah, but you know what it really made me think of? That Spike Lee movie, Bamboozled.
Right. Just, this was like an elevated version of that.
Yeah, even though I feel like Bamboozled was really good. I feel like people really missed what it was about, which was people like this crap.
Yeah,
like
period.
that's the thing. Like if you like, it would be like if we tried to do the bad version of a podcast and it got wildly popular. Like, because we could do that. We could start getting messier. We could start like I could like unfollow you. I could start like if we start beefs with other podcasts.
Or no, what we need to do is what Tasha K does and pretend like we have.
We don't need to do anything she's doing. She's really broke.
I mean, if you want to be scandalous.
I don't want to be scandalous. I want to be successful
At being bad.
No, it just seems like
you just said we could do a bad podcast.
Okay,
so
you
I
know
was
what else
trying
it
to
made
get
me
at.
think of too?
What?
Tyler Perry.
Oh.
Where because once again, I don't want to drag anybody. That's the whole thing. Like, there's an audience, right? But it seems like, it's like that scene from Malcolm X when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad used the metaphor of like the dingy water and the clear water. So if people are thirsting, and if they're thirsty, like, yeah, they'll drink the nasty water. But if you give them a good alternative, I think what our protagonist in the book, he's just feeling like, man, even if I gave them some clear water, they wouldn't drink it.
I think that's part of it. You know, like I think that because, okay, we're talking about the way that he even wrote the book. So my husband was reading the book as I was listening to it, and like how you were mentioning there were parts. It can be hard to listen to and read at times because you have to really be following along with what's going on. Or, you know, even like, I mean, you're talking about the book that he was writing was about, was it Greek mythology or something?
Yes.
And the death of metaphysics or something. It's like, that sounds boring. Like I wouldn't want to read that. I don't care who wrote it, if you're black or white or anything. But, you know, sometimes you want the cheap McDonald's hamburger, and it's everywhere too. You know what I'm saying? And then once you've had a McDonald's cheeseburger, it's like, well,
I'm here
you
now.
eat it and you're not. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think it's more like
ever
that.
had a McFlurry?
Satisfied. I don't think I have.
Are you serious?
I swear before the Lord, I don't believe that I've ever.
You haven't had an Oreo McFlurry? No shit. They're pretty decent. Like when the ice cream machine is working.
Yeah, I never even think to get ice cream when I'm there.
Really? I always think to get ice cream.
No,
We're so
like,
different.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've gotten ice cream from basically every fast food restaurant that will give me ice cream.
Damn. It's like, do you have ice cream here? I like ice
And
cream.
you so often you hear it's like, oh, I'm sorry, the machine's broken, which is code for they didn't feel like cleaning it last
Right,
night.
it's like, listen.
Which is probably for the best. I mean,
Listen.
giving the options of, you know.
And then, but if you really wanted ice cream, why didn't you go to, you know, the creamery place, you know?
You know what's weird? I don't really like ice cream.
What's a high-end ice cream place
I like Culver's.
that you like?
I don't like high-end ice cream.
See?
But it's because I don't like ice cream for real. I like ice milk.
Bitches
I like
don't
soft
like books
serve.
for real. Bitches don't like storytelling for real. You understand me? They don't. And I mean, and that's okay. Because again, like if you don't know what makes a story good, or you don't need it to have it doesn't have to even make sense sometimes. And you just want to be entertained. And I think that
You just need
it can be
moving
entertaining.
pictures.
Yeah. Kind of. Or just some scandalous shit happened. Like he had 4 baby mamas.
And he was raping
And
a lot.
it was real bad. It was real bad.
That
It
was part. I
terrible.
think that was the hardest part for me.
It was
just
terrible.
like in these like really short time period. It was like
He wrote the whole
rapes.
book in there. It was like a 8 or 9 chapter. I thought because
It was a book within a book.
yes.
Because when I realized that's what was happening and this wasn't just going to be a snippet,
Right.
I was so pissed off. I put it on double time.
See, you
That's-
had to.
Yeah, that's
It
when
was
and
crazy.
actually I had to slow it down because it was going too fast. So I put it on time and a half, but I really wanted to go as fast as possible because I wanted to get it over as soon as possible. Can I say though, it did have a lot of beats. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the story itself wasn't terrible. It was just having to listen to how he talked. I had to
People want to
spend
hear
like
that.
30 minutes in the mind of a fuckboy. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. That happens sometimes. Stories will take you there.
I can do 5-10 minute stops.
And then you're done. Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like again, the ice cream to me beautifully.
That's a good metaphor.
Because it's like some people don't want real ice cream. They don't care if it's
too
all chemicals.
thick. Like I don't like.
Exactly.
No, not
This
even,
book is probably
No,
too thick
I don't
for
want to
somebody.
say
maybe,
I
or
like
these
artificial
stories.
stuff because it's not like McDonald's soft serve is my favorite. And I know it's controversial, like you're not supposed to go there, but I still do sometimes. Chick-fil-A soft serve, they have the best soft serve. I don't know why. Like for some reason it's just better because I told you I've ordered everywhere.
Ice cream from everywhere. Okay.
Or ice milk because that is, and like if you're gonna be culinary, because I'm gonna be doing the meat cake soon with a bunch of chefs, so words mean things. So technically I don't like ice cream, and I know that about myself. I like ice milk because it has a lower percentage of fat or whatever. Like basically, like, and you know what?
You don't like creamy stuff like
I
that.
don't like ranch. I don't like mayo. I don't like that blue cheese dressing. On like hollandaise. Like, I don't like thick, viscous, like, but every once in a while I do kind of like want a sweet, like I can do whipped cream, but that's light and fluffy.
That's what people are, that's my
light
point.
cream. Yeah,
people
whipped
want
cream.
light, fluffy media. They don't really want stuff that they have to dig for and think about. Or
well, not for entertainment.
Like I think sometimes
that.
it's just like I don't want to do all
and
that.
I mean, I'm like that too. Like I spent most of instead of listening to this book like I was supposed to, I was watching like a kind of a silly sitcom, family sitcom with my daughter.
See?
And but it was actually really cleverly written. It wasn't the worst, but.
And it's I guess in my mind, this book kind of helped me be less pretentious about that a little bit, because there is this sort of judgmental thing that we have toward people who maybe enjoy things that we're like, man, how could you like that? You know what I mean? But for some people, it's like the prerequisites are just different. Some people don't need the heavy cream in their shit, and we just do. You know what I'm saying? It's like and I think that Tyler Perry, in all fairness, he has the structure to tell these kinds of stories. Like, that's the thing that's sad. It's like we just want it to be elevated a little bit. Like, you have all the resources, and you have this captive audience. And my thing is like your storytelling it almost feels like it's stuck in a space. You know what I mean? Like, if it just has a little bit of air maybe, and like a team and some it could be this. Like, it could be a version of this, because the movie was amazing. I think about how Percival Everett's book gave, because who was the
narrator?
No, the person who actually directed this. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Oh, Cord Jefferson, a young black guy.
Okay.
This was his directorial debut.
Cord.
Listen, he had such beautiful material because I thought, man, this book was awesome as a movie. Like, the dialogue was all there. Having seen the movie and being like, wow, it was pretty much the same, you know? And the liberties that he took that were different, I felt like they worked really, really well for a movie. It was so beautifully done, but I'm just saying there's no reason why this first-time director, you know what I'm saying? Like, with 30 days, like, I think they shot the movie in like a month. Wow. With a small budget, and this was a fantastic film because the storytelling was so good. Like, the actual meat and potatoes of the story was so good. I was saying
I left out kind of a big part in the story, which is he finds out that he has a half sister.
Yeah, that wasn't in the movie either.
Oh, okay. So in the book, he finds out his father had an affair. And it sounds like he was really in love with this English woman or this British woman, but he didn't want to leave his family. You know, he already had 2 kids and a wife, and so he just kind of like dies with this secret. But he tells his wife to burn these papers. I have to assume she already knew.
And if she didn't, she knew then.
Yeah, I get the feeling. I don't know. That's just just as a reader, I just feel like she probably already knew. But he ends up finding her, and she's broke, so he cuts her a little check or whatever. But it was that was like, that's kind of huge thing to find out in your life. It's like, oh, hello,
yeah,
like I have I have a half sister out there. So yeah, that was and also the fact that part of why the father probably didn't want to run off with this British woman is because they'd have a really hard time being an interracial couple.
Sure.
That's the other thing too, where he's sort of a respectable Negro and you're expected to have a respectable partner. I think that was part of the narrative around Martin Luther King Jr., where, like a lot of people say that there was a white woman he really wanted to be with, but he understood he wouldn't be able to do his work, because they'd be like, go tell that to your white bitch.
Basically, I can't hear nothing else. I don't know what else you're talking about.
You know how your people are.
Yep, I do.
So, and so he was so dedicated to his cause, he was like, fine, I'll marry this gorgeous black woman.
And have her, right. Listen, I'll marry this gorgeous that people will be mentioning out of context in pop culture to
having her all messed up.
Like, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
But like this to me
I should say her name. Shout out to Coretta Scott King.
Coretta Scott King, absolutely.
Whatever woman he was married to.
I think that this story is you know, because even like you saying bamboozled, my point in saying that I felt like this was elevated was in no way a shot to that movie because it was what it was. I'm saying elevated because this was just the storytelling around it was more intellectual. Like I don't know. I'm sure there's a word for what I'm trying to say right now.
It was fancy pants.
Yeah, it was just exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it was still the same because wasn't it like a minstrel show or something that he ironically pitched?
He was trying to sink his career. It was so Damon Wayans plays like a executive, a TV executive who's just so disenchanted with the state of modern Hollywood that he's like, I'm just gonna tank my career, and so I'm gonna green light a literal minstrel show. And Savon was in it, and he has on blackface, and he's tap dancing, and it's a hit. It is a certified hit.
Everyone loves it.
And so he's like, oh crap, like this is the opposite. I didn't want but like it's just crazy. It's like, okay, so everything that I've tried, my whole life's work of trying to create quality and try to get something out there was for naught. And it's a movie that's generally like kind of hated. Like people really, I was like, I don't know. I thought it was brilliant.
I mean, the point of it, like that's just it. Like some stories have a very specific message.
But I think it's the aesthetic of seeing blackface.
Yeah,
it's just
like
the
that.
student who was offended by the N word, you know, on the chalkboard, and it's like you're missing
the nuance
or like
of
when
the
people get
context.
mad. Is it Huckleberry Finn that's got Nig Jim in it? Is it? I always get the two mixed
Or
up.
is it
There's
Tom Sawyer
I
or
get them
something?
mixed
I
up.
don't
I
know.
don't know.
One of them two.
One of them two. There's a character named Nig Jim.
Wow.
And people get all like, they're like, oh, that's racist. It's like, y'all aren't reading the book though.
Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, it's Huckleberry Finn. Okay, because you know, Mark Twain was very critical of racism in the South. It's just that's something you would have seen and heard. Is
In real time.
in real life, you would have like. There's no point in acting like somehow. I feel like someone who's willing to like actually say what's going on is less racist than someone who's like, well, I don't remember us calling that. Jim was like a part of the family. It's like,
Girl,
but that's, you know, like that's.
It'd be one thing if you're in class reading that book and it's like, okay, so we're all gonna go around and take turns saying nigger Jim or something. You know what I mean? It's like we don't, you know, I
don't like that for two reasons. For
that's
one,
crazy.
it makes things really, really awkward for
It
the one black
does.
kid in the class, i.e. me and you and my
I hate
kids.
that.
And secondly, I think making kids read out loud in front of their peers is a little cruel. I don't think it's necessary. I remember enjoying doing it when I was younger, but we've established I'm a bit of a weirdo. I love reading out loud in front of people. That's like one of my faves.
Really?
But oh yeah.
I mean, I never loved it, but
I
I think
in math
it's good
when I was like
practice.
selected to like do one of the readings.
No,
I'm
my
like,
heart was about to jump out of my chest.
oh, it was
every
great.
single
I'm like,
time.
let me make sure I'm speaking clearly. And it's like, ooh, I might. This is why this works out great. I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah. And then it's like a vacation for my brain because I don't have to think of things to say. Like you're constantly writing for yourself. So you get a break and you get to read somebody else's writing.
But you do good at coming up with stuff to say outside of that.
So much energy though. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to go on standby mode.
Well, all I know is that, you know, storytelling is an art, and I do feel like it just occurs at different levels. And so I can't knock anybody for not needing stories to be, because I think a lot of people, I mean, sometimes like the way that Tyler Perry, for instance, tells stories resonates for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
I want to make sure I don't hate all the movies.
No, I don't either. There was Why Did I Get Married?
Why Did I
was
Get
good.
Married
Those were
was good. Why Did I Get Married 2 was actually a little better. Or Why Did I Get
remember if I saw them.
Why Did I Get and what was the other one I liked?
That's the only one I could think about.
The one that had a little Bow Wow in it. I remember enjoying that.
Was it a
one.
holiday movie?
No. It was the one where, was it Tiana Taylor was his baby mama?
What?
It was somebody where she was like, Byron. Like, cause she was always like, like been like, you need to take care of your baby and da 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 da. Was it Medea's Big Happy Family?
Oh, I think definitely didn't see that. Definitely didn't see that.
I remember like genuinely like non-ironically enjoying that.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, not so much.
But you know what though? There's always parts of them that I like. You know, like when the grandpa guy gets high or something.
Yeah.
Medea has her little throwaway lines or whatever. So I get it. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a general feeling. And I think that, you know, we deserve to have stuff that's just fun and surface and topical too. But that's what I'm saying. In the landscape of art and storytelling, I appreciate that diversity, because like when you don't fall into that area, when I don't want to see another barbecue, when I don't want to see another goddamn
shooting.
two-step,
I'm really sick of watching like, black men get shot. I don't like it.
You know, I mean, I'll watch it, but I just
know
feel
it
like,
happens, but
just give me something else too. Like, and I think that's what people like Thelonious Monk was saying, like in this book, like his Monk in this book. It's like, I mean, can we just be people though? Like, are we allowed to just be like he's a middle-aged writer whose mom is, has dementia, and then taps into the family dynamic of taking care of an older person. Like, this is shit that people go through in real life. And so you're not thinking about the fact that Monk is black. You're thinking about like, damn, that's hard when you have to take care of your family. Or we watch Lisa, his sister, be the caretaker and holding down the fort. Meanwhile, like the whole time while he's out of town and not near his family, he has nothing to do with any of it, him or his brother. We all know a family story, whether it's you or somebody else, where there's the one person who's always stuck being the caretaker, and it's usually not even the favorite.
To me,
Boom,
that part was
in
really
there.
recognizable.
Listen,
when,
before
before Lisa got shot and she's trying to get the mom to sell the dad's old office building. And then Monk comes in. He's like, Mom, Lisa's right. You never go there. It's getting dilapidated. And she's like, all right, if you think it's best. She's like, for real?
It's like, okay, Monkey.
It's like, I've been saying this forever. And he comes in day one and you're just saying what? And
I'm just saying.
I'm like, at one point I'm mad at Lisa because it's like, girl, just play the game. Because it's like, I think because he's a writer, he's very good at stepping into the role that people want. He knows what people want to hear. He knows what scene is playing out. So he knows how to get in there. And I feel like that is very helpful when you're, my son actually helped to give me that language with dealing with my grandmother who's suffering from dementia, where it's basically like improv. You just yes and their statements. You don't fight their narrative. Because here's the thing, because I have the ability to step into her narrative. She doesn't. She can't step into my narrative anymore. Right. But she did when I was younger. Like when you're dealing with kids, you can't be like, look, this is why you're being irrational. Like you can't
They don't care about that.
They don't. It doesn't work. Like it just depends on like what is your goal.
So yeah, I just liked the story from that standpoint, because I feel like this is relatable stuff. This is something that people go through, and people deserve to see stories where we have that same dignity, and they just watching us going through life, like as regular people. Okay, this was one of the instances in the book that was really, really clever. So when he was doing the duck book, when that was Pafology, I like that better because the duck is weird, but okay. So when he was writing that, and there's the scene when Van is driving the rich girl home, and they're in the pool house together, and his hand is over her mouth. It's very similar to Native Son, Richard Wright's book, when he takes that white girl home, like rich white girl home, because he goes out with her and her boyfriend. The main character of that book is a black man that's like in the 40s or whatever, and he goes out with them, and then they come back to the house, and he's trying to sneak her in, and he has his hand over her mouth, and he actually ends up killing her. Damn, how long did he have his hand over her mouth? Everyone was drunk. Oh, no. So, I don't even know if he was drunk. It's been a long time since I've read this, but I feel like that was a reference to that, because in my mind I was like, oh shit, he's actually about to kill her. But it's fine. He just ends up craping her. But that's like, and it was very interesting, just the layers of social cast in that, because even though everyone he craped in that story was black, that was the only rich black girl that he craped, and that was the only time he suffered any repercussions for it.
So
True
that was like, he put so, even though that was supposed to just be there was a lot in there that was actually pretty deep. He was showing off. I think
he was definitely showing off.
Yeah, Mr.
I'm
And you know
impressed.
what it made me think of too? I keep bringing this up, is Feud, the Truman Capote show on FX, where he's Truman versus the Swans,
Telling
and
people's business.
telling people's
Messy.
business, messy.
Just messy.
But he was just talking about the reason he was able to get in with the Swans is because he stepped into their narrative. He's like, I make them feel seen. They're mostly ignored by their husbands and children. So I just come in and I see them and I basically talk to them. Like, as you know, like, I come in and let them be the main character, and I play the hilarious gay friend. And then all of a sudden now he's in the creme de la creme of New York society. But because he still always had that feeling of he was never really a part of it, he ends up betraying them.
Yeah, that's crazy. I hate that.
Yeah, you hate to see
I
it.
really
but
do,
also
but-
kind of like, fuck them too. Because these were not,
I mean, it's not even
But
them
then-
specific. I'm saying, like, fuck the idea of getting
doing that
close
to
to
someone's
somebody.
humanity.
Yeah, just right. Period.
Yeah, on
like,
a
even if
human
they're
level.
dumb and whatever.
well, yeah,
just,
even
it's
if
not
they're,
cool. That's
you know,
not cool.
like I said, like these
But
are,
I mean, they're fine.
yeah,
They're
ultimately
rich
they just iced him out and their
ladies,
lives went on just fine
Sure.
while he drank himself to death. But, you know, but it's still terrible to do that to someone you've known
Period.
for
That's
years and
crazy.
who've confided in you, because like I said, they're just incredibly lonely. Like that's what,
Yeah.
because he's a writer and he studies people, he knew exactly what was going on. The chick Babe Paley, because she was actually like really, I ended up watching Houston again. And she was a big part of making Houston famous. Like she
Really?
was just that much of a socialite where everybody just did what Babe did. But like that was one of the main people he betrayed. But she was even saying too, like he's the only person on this world who could like hurt me, because I mean,
He knows everything.
he knows, well, and because I actually love and trust him. Like he's the only person in the world I trust. So he's
That's
the only
usually
person
who you tell everything to.
but that's also the only person who can hurt you.
Yeah.
And he hurt her.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing, it's a terrible
And
thing
this
to
is
do.
why you close your heart up to everyone. Next subject.
Next caller. Yes, and that's why you never try.
That's why you never try. You just stay in mediocrity.
Yeah, push it down.
Don't feel any. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of a side conversation that we can't have now because this will take us way off the rails. But remind me to come back to that. Yeah.
Oh, what
another
should I
time.
say to trigger you? What's the trigger word?
About just do you try
Push it down. Do you try? Don't try.
or not try when it comes
to
to
try
relationships?
or not to try?
That is the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe I'll ask you guys.
voting-
No, you don't even know the question yet.
All right.
Okay. But yeah, this book, you guys, I really enjoyed it. I wanted to read this was from an
ennui?
article. I know, I learned a new word. So,
Oh, it's French for boredom. I learned that from studying Versailles, because basically the entertainment person who's most entertaining has the most power among the rich, because money stops meaning anything. So everything's about. Is that right? Am I remembering it
yeah,
correctly?
it wasn't a quiz. I mean, you looked
Everything's a
over
quiz, pop quiz ass.
Yeah, I was about to read a
and
snippet.
it's one of my favorite words. I
I've
love
never
that word.
heard it in my life.
Ennui.
So I was like, I had to
'Cause
highlight it.
it's
I didn't know
so
how to
French.
say
It's
it.
like, oh, some.
But let me figure out where I got this from. It was
Okay.
either New York Times or The Guardian. I had two articles, but
Okay.
I liked this sort of like wrap up of the book.
Okay.
Everett's novel Erasure works on two levels: as a parody that spins in increasingly outrageous directions, but also as a poignant, multi-layered story of its main character's life. A middle-aged English professor from a family of doctors, Monk spends much of the book in a state of mild crisis, grappling with professional ennui, his mother's descent into dementia, the legacy of his father's infidelity and eventual suicide, and the sudden death of his sister, and now his own secret identity as the author of a bewilderingly successful work that he hates. And I was like, yes. And I'm thinking about each layer of that and how all of it was good, you know? Like,
Have you ever made something
it was
you
crazy.
hate that people love?
I don't know, maybe some food item. I can't think of exactly.
No, I'm trying to think of that too. I like everything I make, so it's hard to think. But I've also never tried to make anything that I don't like. Because you know how I get when I'm consuming stuff I don't like. I'm like allergic to it. So
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something, but I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody hates this podcast. I don't know.
No, something you hate though.
Oh yeah.
That
no,
everybody else loves. But you made it, but you hate it, but everybody else loves it.
No, I can't think of anything.
I
What about
can't-
you?
That's what I'm saying. Like I like everything I make. Like everything about like what I like do, I tend to like.
See, that can be a problem though.
Is it?
Could be. I think it's great initially, but like if you can't look at yourself objectively, like even if you like it, I think sometimes even if I like something, I'm always looking at like if somebody didn't like this, what would I think they didn't like? And I try to understand what that might be.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
You know what I mean?
I totally
It's
get
like,
why.
I get why you don't like
I get
this.
why the stuff I don't like, the stuff I like, other people don't.
Yeah.
That's not confusing to me. I'm just saying, like, if it's something I hate personally, I'm just not gonna do it. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing
like that book.
Right. Like, I just won't finish
Milking my
it.
coffee.
So even if I'm making something, let's just say like I'm working on a piece or something like that, and I start to hate it, like
we're done.
I'll scrap it.
Yeah, I can't.
I think that was
honestly don't have any
I had a
examples.
professor who called that polishing a turd. Like
Ew.
you don't want to do that. Like when you notice you're polishing a turd, you just throw that sucker right
flush it on
out.
down the toilet. We
Yeah.
don't need to keep that. But yeah, so I don't know. For me, this book was really good. It had a lot of levels to it, and I just like stories where we get to just be regular. And like his race wasn't like the main factor. It informs a lot of what the story is about, but it's indirectly, and it's more just about him navigating his middle-aged life as a writer. And all of what that means. So I like stories that give us the opportunity to do that. And I feel like, the word satirical to me feels like this doesn't seem,
Doesn't seem satirical?
it does, but I feel like it's closer to reality. Like it's very, I think if you asked writers if they felt like this was really far off from their personal experience in this particular setting, that they would be like, man, it's pretty close.
I do feel like it probably is maybe a accurate snapshot of the literary world. Well, wait, what year was this supposed to be taking place in, the story?
I don't remember,
'Cause
but
it
this
felt
was
like
published
before-
this was published in 2001.
Okay, because I was
So
saying it
it was
felt
before
before
that.
smartphones.
Yeah, it
Because
was
the way
before
that they
that.
were moving, like there were like landlines.
Yeah,
and
this was the beginning of the 2000s.
people writing notes
so,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like it was, it was kind of nice to be transported back to that time as well.
Yeah.
You could tell a lot of the language used was a little archaic, maybe.
Yeah. It was dated.
It was dated, but still very, very good. I don't want to drag. What is that? Right? Eric Jerome Dickey.
You do too want to drag him.
I don't, but it's just so the opposite. This felt like what maybe Eric Jerome Dickey was trying to do.
See, that's what and the thing is like, that's okay. It's, some people can read that and get something from it just the same way as, some of the other people that we
But
mentioned.
the
Like, I
message
get
was
it.
bad. Like it was like it's one. I can usually take one or the other. I usually can't take it when the message is bad. Honestly, I usually hate it when there's a bad message in a film.
Message.
I remember watching a film one time with Stephen Baldwin called "Loving the Bad Man," which was about a woman forgiving her rapist and having his baby. Like that's a terrible message. On top of the fact that the acting was bad and the writing was bad. So there was nothing redeemable. But sometimes there'll be like visual elements that are kind of good that can, aesthetics.
Sure.
So sometimes even when the writing is good, maybe the message is bad or whatever. Maybe I never read 13 Reasons Why, but maybe that's like a good example of something where it's like, okay, this is constructed well, but the message is bad.
Yeah.
But when the message is bad and it's constructed poorly, like, it's not how I want to live my life.
Yeah. Well, because arguably, like, a lot of people don't like Spike Lee's storytelling. Like, the way that he tells stories is not that the message isn't bad, but they just don't like the way that he tells his stories.
It's too abstract.
It's right. You know
Yeah,
what I
or
mean?
surreal.
And that's going to be something that's subjective for folks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, like, if your main point is that the message has to be there, maybe you can overlook the way that he's telling that story because you're like, I see what you did there. I see what you're trying to do. But some people are like, I'm so put off by how you did this, and
Well,
I don't
that's-
even want to hear what you're
That's
saying.
kind of like Star Trek. Because, of course, the
Maybe.
original Star Trek
Yeah.
is super campy.
I love how Star Trek, like and it was the way you said it. It was like I knew you were gonna say it or something. It was like, because Star Trek, like, You just snatched that from the clouds and brought it right on in. So that is so good.
Thank you.
That was
but
amazing.
It had a good message, even if the storytelling was, like over the top.
Exactly.
You can't call that like subtle,
No.
And of course, as time went on, the storytelling got more sophisticated, but because the message was so strong, like I think that helped. And there's good costumes.
Yeah, there's that. So that's what I'm saying. Some people can't get past all of
Yeah.
that to get even to the storytelling. So this, and I would say like if this, I don't think this is an easy book to read.
Oh
though.
no. Or listen to even.
Yeah, because I was
Especially
thinking
a
about
time and a half.
reading
I
it.
really wish I was able. I wish I started reading it earlier, but there's nothing we can do. But it was really hard to listen to fast because it is very dense. I think this will really, really
It's
benefit
like
from a rereading.
real ice cream versus milk water, whatever the hell she was talking about.
Ice
earlier.
milk.
Whatever. Never heard of that in my life.
We're gonna take a break while I educate Moni on the difference between.
Good luck. We'll be back. All right, guys, so welcome back from the break. Hilarity ensued.
It did. You guys should go to Patreon so you can hear our breaks.
We had a good time.
We do.
Yeah, man.
We cut loose. We try to keep
bit.
together for the general consumption, but we're
Try to keep it together.
we do.
Barely.
I don't try that hard.
Thank you. Honestly, it's not. Listen,
too
we are
late for
doing our
lies.
best. Okay,
Yeah.
we're doing our best. Yeah, I can't. I mean, honestly, I really like this book. A little bit on the break, we were saying about taste, and in my opinion, I like having a space where if I want to see, I'm trying to think of some movies. Like, there's some movies that aren't considered great cinema that I fucking love, like Half Baked.
yeah.
I love that stoner movie so hard. It is so fucking hilarious to me. The guy on the couch, iconic, okay? The fucking date scene where his money is up there on the side and it's like dwindling down.
That was amazing.
Oh my God,
storytelling.
I thought it was great. But
Cuban B.
Listen, it was so good.
So
I want to
funny.
talk to Samson. Fly me to the moon
like that bitch Alex Granton.
Because it's hard being black and gifted. Sometimes you want to throw it all down and get lifted.
But even that was like a parody of bad. You know what I mean? Like there was just levels. Like that was actually no. That's not a good example of bad because
people. And what I mean is, I find it to be good for the reasons that you're getting ready to say. But when you think of even when Neil Brennan talks about this movie, he like they get dragged for it.
He says. People always come to him saying how good it was, and he doesn't like it, even though he wrote it.
Oh, he hates it.
He hates it because,
Oh
of course, it's her early work.
Right.
No one likes their early work, but it was
great, Neil.
It was well received. It was relatable. It was fun. I think that's what matters a lot when it comes to art, because there is that pretentious like my brushstrokes and my this and my order and my principles of design, and you can hit every mark perfectly, but it's not gonna beat somebody who's just having. You know what I would like to bring it back to?
Fake ass book club.
Well, we're already here.
But that's what we do. That's all I was saying.
No, I was gonna bring it to like when there's like rap beefs, and I feel like the person who's having the most fun with it wins. Like the person who's taking it super serious.
Oh yeah.
Like even most recently with like Megan Thee Stallion and like Nicki Minaj and stuff. Like Megan didn't seem super pressed. Like she's having a good time. It looks like.
Yeah.
Whereas Nicki seemed like really mad. Like it was Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. Like I think is what I use. It's like. Who's having more fun there? Yeah,
fun in art is important. And I think, the concept of high-low, because like when I was saying, well, I like, some stuff like that, but then also, I appreciate art like this as well. So, I like a nice mix, and I'm not mad at people for wanting some fun in the art that they consume. But I'm also not mad when we get a variety of different ways that we can tell stories and appreciate stories, especially surrounding Black people. So I think that this book did an amazing job in telling this story. I think that if I had to say who I think would like this book. Now, I didn't like read the book because I listened to it. If you're looking for something smart, like if you like unpeeling layers in books and finding like little what do they call them? The little eggs, Easter eggs and stuff. There's just so much in the book. Like I feel like I could listen to it again or try to read it again and get a lot out of it, even after having read it. So I think, if you're an avid reader, you're gonna like this book. Even with that said, though, I do think it's not an easy read because it is a bit pretentious. If I'm just being honest, it is the vocabulary. I learned a bunch of new words. And just the flow of it, you're in and out of a narrative too, and then there's like a story in the story, so it's a lot going on. So if that's doing the most for you, just go see the movie. Just go see the movie. It was beautiful. It was so good.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the movie.
My God,
off
the
of
movie was
just
amazing.
reading part. I got 90% through the book.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch it enough to rate it. But you know who I think would really enjoy this book? Nignogs like your brothers.
Both of them. I know. I promise you. I was like, I actually recommended it after I read it to my older brother. I'm like, you need to read this book.
I think those are two.
It made me think about him a little bit.
Really?
Because he's so. Yes,
Brilliant.
absolutely. And Jeffrey Wright said this was probably the character that he played in the movie that was the most like him. So it was deeply personal. And I think he had a mom who he like in the last year he lost. And it was kind of like an elder care situation, him coming in and having to. So again, just a deeply universal story. And there's a lot of us out here who, we want to see ourselves in these stories. And so I think when we get an opportunity to do that, it's amazing. So I'm going to rate the book. I'm going to give it... I'm giving it 4 out of 4.5 fucks. Because I'm giving it the half. I would say it's perfect because I would give it a perfect score, but because of the pretentiousness of it and the hard, it's not his fault.
It's your rating.
But yeah, it doesn't take away from the story. The story was amazing. But yeah, 4 out of 5 fucks. Or 4.5. Yeah. And so let's see here. So I guess we just have to spin the wheel now then.
I think we should.
Let's do it, guys. And spin it. Boom.
Wow.
Okay.
Just in time.
Imagine this.
We deserve a fake ass episode for Black History Month.
I think so.
Yeah, we've been worried. This one, as enjoyable as the book was, it was it took some brain power.
It did.
And I think we need to take a week off from thinking, especially with everything that's going on this week. We're doing Mardi Gras / Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning of the Lenten season, which is a weird day to have the candy day on. But whatever. Yeah. And then we're going into All-Star Weekend. Woo-hoo. It's going to be a lot. Our hometown of Indianapolis is hosting the NBA All-Star Game. And there's going to be a lot of events leading up to that. And so we're going to be doing a bunch of them. So we'll keep posted on that. But one of the biggest being Butter, the home court. So really looking forward to that because we talk about it a lot here. We like art. We like art around here.
It's nice.
It is nice.
And
especially, and like I said, even though they concentrate on Black art, we are looking forward to a world where we don't even have to say that anymore because just everyone's included.
Period.
We don't have to have like all these little groups.
Yeah.
But for now.
And I think that was the whole point of the story. That
it was.
Tied in beautifully. So,
yeah, it did.
Message.
Thank you. Connections.
I like it.
That's what art is all about, though.
It is, man.
It's so good for your brain. Like if you're depressed, like art is something you can do, and all kinds of art. Like I like visual arts, but music, writing. What's another art? Clothes.
Dancing.
That's the thing. I meet so many like beautiful people in the city when I'm doing events, and people are like, "Well, I'm not really an artist." When they are like dressed down head to toe, I'm like, "I don't know how to break this to you, sweetheart." But
you're an artist.
You're an artist. You did that, especially if you can do the makeup. My God,
that's
like,
true too. Or even if you just home decor. Like, have you ever walked in someone's home?
Don't say
like,
just home decor because it's home decor.
Home decor.
Because that is a whole thing.
Listen.
I don't even, it's
nice
all of
here.
that stuff. If you are visually assembling things, congratulations, you're an artist. You did it.
Yay.
And I think that I'll post that later because I'd done that a long time ago, the Picasso quote about all children are artists. Like the real trick is staying an artist when you're an adult.
Man, tricky
That's
business.
the challenging
That's
part.
what we're here for. That's what we're here to encourage you guys.
And I'll
to
post
do.
the actual code. I just said some stuff.
I like it. All right. Well,
Did you have stuff about Oscar nominees? I'm looking at your notes. Oh, just
not
that
exactly.
all
They
the nominations they got.
Yeah, they got 5 of them,
Yeah.
basically. I just didn't want to forget that.
Well, I'm sure it's well deserved.
It was so good. Go see that, you guys. Support this. And for anybody out there who's like, man, all they have is slave stories and niggas getting shot. Nah, like these are, so go support these movies. Like, you know what I mean? People want to complain about there not being anything out there. So if you haven't gone to see this movie or read this book, do that. And actually, you know what? Side dedication to Court Jefferson for this being your first film, and for you bringing out the heavyweights, and for you bringing out the best in these artists and them, and for the author of the book, Percival, to his art from 2001, how it's relevant still now, and you were able to tell this story so beautifully. So just, my God, I was just impressed. The whole thing, all of it's beautiful. I loved it so hard. So you guys go support this movie and this book, because the story was really great. And I guess with that, shit, we out of here.
I
you
think
guys.
we're all out.
Yeah. Do you want to close it?
I do. Your body belongs to you. So use it to look at art and not be racist.
That's right. And possibly go see this film or read the book. And you guys be involved in stuff that you love. You might start a podcast with your best friend and end up doing a bunch of cool stuff that you never even imagined. So you never know where things can go. And yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.